Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in. The thermostat was showing -18 this morning and that's a little cool to go outside and work on the addition. So I got thinking, when work is a little slow on the addition, for now and in the future, I'd take you along on a little mini video series about different areas of our house. If you're just tuning into the channel, a couple of years ago, my wife and I purchased and renovated this stone house. The house was built in the early 1800s, and when we purchased it a couple of years ago, it needed a full renovation. The heating system was decommissioned, the electrical was out of date, there was broken windows, and there was a lack of insulation. Those are just a few items of a long list of things that needed to be redone. So the easiest solution was to rip the whole inside of the house down and rebuild from the basement up, keeping the old exterior and building a brand new energy efficient house inside. Of course, one of the areas we had to remodel was the kitchen. So today's video, I'm going to go over the remodel process of the kitchen, and at the end of the video, I'll give you a few details on our awesome refrigerator. Here we go. When we started the construction process on the house, we were of course on a little bit of a timeline. We took lots of photos, but we didn't take many videos along the way. Of the few videos I have, here is one showing the existing kitchen. When you come in through the front door, the staircase was in the middle of the house. On the left-hand side was a family room. On the right-hand side, you entered into the kitchen area. What you can't see in this video is how bad the floor was. The floor beams were 12-inch timber that went from the front of the house to the back of the house. And the 180 years that they've been in the house were starting to show. They were starting to rot, crack, and sag in the middle, so they all needed to be replaced. Of course, once we decided to rip them all out and replace them, we got to the basement. Once we got to the basement, it came with its own set of challenges. In this corner of the house, spanning from this wall to this wall, there was a cistern. Now typically in construction, you want to get all the water out of your house. In the case of a cistern, it collected all the rainwater and it put it into a holding tank in the basement. Instead of having a well, this stone tank would capture all the water for daily use. With this cistern taking up about the same footprint as the kitchen, it took up a lot of space in the basement. On top of that, we wanted to get in behind to insulate and waterproof, so we decided the cistern was going to come out. We rented an excavator and put the bucket through the front door of the house and removed all the stone. After that was complete, we started reframing and installed engineered floor joists to rebuild the first floor. These engineered floor joists are used in common construction today, and you'll even find them in our addition. This creates a good solid floor to build on. We got started with the framing, but we really didn't know how we wanted to lay out the kitchen. One of the things we were able to do is to come up with a rough layout and mark it on the floor with spray paint. One of the tricks for this, if you're doing a partial remodel, take some painter's tape and you can lay out on the floor and on the wall where your cabinets are going to go. When designing the layout for your kitchen, there's a lot of things to consider. One of the common guidelines is your work triangle. That's the distance between all three common appliances, like your sink, your refrigerator, and your stove. When you look at this layout, you can draw it out in a triangle. Typically, you want each side of the triangle to be over 4 feet, but under 12 feet. And when you add up the outside of the triangle, you want to try to have that under 25 feet. Of course, these are just guidelines, and depending on the space you have to work with, this can change. What this does though, is it maximizes the space in your kitchen and tries to reduce your travel time. Let's say you're filling a pot of water up at the sink, and you want to boil it. Of course, you don't want to walk too far to the stove. But on the other side though, if you have somebody working at the sink, and somebody needs access to the refrigerator, they have some room. Another way the triangle works is to keep your minimum separation between your stove and your refrigerator. When you have a hot stove and a cool refrigerator, they're going to constantly be trying to overpower each other. And this is going to waste a lot of energy, whether it's extra gas or extra electricity. Once we decided on the layout, it was time to choose where we were going to purchase the cabinets. At the start, we were really set on IKEA cabinets. We heard lots of good things. They were easy to get and they were easy to install. One of the only problems that I had with IKEA cabinets was there were some of the sizes that wouldn't quite work out with our fridge and the bulkheads. The bulkhead is this area here that comes down from the ceiling, and this runs some of the ductwork for the house. The spacing from the floor to the bulkhead and around the fridge wasn't quite standard with IKEA cabinets. Either way, they had a very good program online where you go on and model a 3D view of your kitchen. A few days before I was about to order the cabinets, a family friend mentioned of a cabinet maker in the area. I reached out to this cabinet maker to get some quotes and some thoughts on what we were doing, and I'm actually really glad we did. This cabinet maker was able to come in and look at our designs and give us lots of suggestions. And when it came down to the price, he was actually cheaper to come in and measure, design, construct, and install the cabinets for under what it would have cost me to just buy the IKEA cabinets, not including for myself to install them. One of the best suggestions he had was to miter this countertop and cabinets. This created a more through passageway as it's a narrow opening to get into the other area of the house. As well, he was able to custom make the cabinets to go all the way up to the ceiling. In this case, the ceiling height over here is about 9 feet, and we're about 8 feet over here. And then of course, he's able to design the cabinets to custom match the refrigerator. So speaking of the refrigerator, here it is. Now one of the most common questions we get is how did you get it in the house? Well, it's actually 2 appliances put together into one. This is the Frigidaire Gallery series, and I believe there's one model above this that will do the same thing. You can also find it under the Electrolux brand. So it's a full stand-up refrigerator and a full stand-up freezer, and there's also the optional trim kit that will put them together. In this case, we have the grill trim kit on the bottom, and then we have the mounting bracket on the top. There's also a grill that can go across the top, but we opted to have more cabinet space, and we didn't put the grill on. A couple of years ago, Jill and I saw this at a family member's place, and we knew right away if we ever did a remodel, we were going to try to incorporate it into the design. In many family and friends' houses, including houses I've been in the past, you'll have your refrigerator upstairs, and you'll have to go hunt around the house for a deep freeze. In this case, you have everything all in one, and we have more than enough space. Now you might think something like this has an outrageous price tag, but really I've seen stand-up refrigerators that have cost double of what this setup costs. The only downside is I can't send tweets off my refrigerator. Well, I think I'm going to wrap the video up there. I appreciate you guys watching, and thanks for tuning into Cloud Country. Hopefully the next video I have up, I'm doing some framing on the addition. Like I mentioned earlier, if work gets slow on the addition, I'll add to this mini-series. If you want a little sneak peek, I don't know when the video is going to come out, but I'll explain why we use bulletproof glass in our staircase. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.